Hi, hello. I am back for a second episode of my podcast. So that means that I enjoyed my new life as a YouTuber when I did this last month, and enough of you also enjoyed it to make me want to do it again. But actually, it was really fun. I enjoyed myself. Um, I'm trying to keep this really easy. You may have noticed, this is shot in one cut. I didn't do any in one take, no cuts, no editing, no special effects. And I love to watch a video with a lot of editing. Editing can really add a lot, but it's not for me. So I'm glad enough of you are also enjoying my simple style of video. But I want to thank everyone who watched my first episode and left nice comments and subscribed. I was really pleasantly surprised by just the number of people who watched that video. I didn't talk about it a lot, and I posted it on my Instagram, and I kind of just thought, okay, people who see my Instagram story and who are interested in this will watch it. Not really thinking that I would very quickly be able to connect with any new audience through YouTube, but pretty quickly I feel like I got picked up by the algorithm for Knitting YouTube, which is great because I had people commenting being like, where can I find your patterns? Who are you? People who are interacting with me and my work for the very first time through YouTube. So that's really exciting. Welcome to all. If you aren't familiar with me, I am also just James N. Watts on Instagram, and you can also find my patterns on Ravelry and Payhip through the same name. So please go check me out and enjoy. Maybe knit something of mine. But let me look at my little notes. I am coming to you from my living room in Zagreb, Croatia, and a lot of people, I think, were interested in what I'm doing in Croatia and just wanting to get a little bit more insight into my life here. And I decided that I want to have something to talk about probably every episode, as long as I'm living here, about life here and culture and whatnot. And I thought today would be a nice day to talk about Croatian language, which I'm really ashamed to admit that I have really not learned much at all. I know some very basics and greetings and counting, and that's about it. I had really good intentions of learning Croatian before I came here. It was not a language I ever had any target to acquire before I suddenly made this plan to come live here, but I was like, okay, I'm moving to a foreign country, let me learn the language. And I like learning languages, but Croatian is really difficult. The grammar is really intense. There's maybe 6 noun cases and a lot of gendered language. It's a lot of it would be a lot of hard work to learn. I mean, that's any language, but my only second language, my only other language besides English is Chinese, which I'm fairly proficient with. I used to be a lot better, but I still got it to some extent. And Chinese appealed to me and worked really well for me because it's simple in terms of grammar. Obviously, it's it has a reputation as one of the most difficult languages. Pronunciation can be challenging for many people. The writing is challenging for everyone. I can't fathom that there was a time that I used to sit down in a class and be given an essay prompt and just have to write a multiple page essay by hand in Chinese. I absolutely could not do that today. Sometimes I can barely remember how to write my name in Chinese. That's a real, you use it or you lose it kind of skill. But as far as the grammar in Chinese, it's so simple and friendly, and if you can get over learning the pronunciation, then learning to speak and listen and understand, in my opinion, is really not that difficult. Whereas in Croatian, it would be a lot of work to master even the most basic grammar for me. And I also just kind of realized, because I was studying a little bit in the early days of moving here, I realized that it just wasn't gonna stick for me, because I know why I was successful in learning Chinese. And the reason is that I was obsessed with it. I started teaching myself actually through Rosetta Stone when I was like 17, and I had a lot of Chinese speaking friends where I grew up and who I went to high school with. And once I started learning in the summer, and then once I started school, I was asking questions and getting help from all of my Chinese speaking friends at school every day. And it just, for a good 4 years almost, it was a huge obsession for me, and it brought me a lot of joy. It dominated my thoughts. And I realized that that is what it takes to learn a language. You just have to really, really want it. And while I would love to learn Croatian, I just never felt that spark and that obsession coming on. And it's also not super necessary to know the language to get by here. The English level is very high here. I just came back from a trip from Germany, and I would say the English level is higher in Croatia generally from what I was experiencing. Croatians will also say that they have a high English level for Europe, and the reason they give is that English language media was never dubbed, when everyone was growing up watching TV here. So everyone got used to watching TV and movies in the original English language with Croatian subtitles, whereas in Germany, for example, and many other countries, they will overdub in the language of that country, right? So anyway, yeah, my piece of trivia about me and living in Croatia is that I'm bad with the language, and I probably will not get much better. And okay, it'd be nice if I did, but I'm just being honest and being realistic, okay? So Germany, I just had a week-long trip to Germany. I have not traveled too much through Europe in my life, but Germany is one of the few places that I actually had been to before. So this is my second time in Germany. I went when I was 18 or 19 for a couple weeks during the summer with family, because I had a brother living in Berlin at the time. And yeah, it was really nice to be back. I did go to Berlin, but other than that, I visited all new to me cities. I came into Frankfurt, but I didn't really do much there. It was sort of just my travel city. And then from there, I took a train to Würzburg, and then spent a couple days there. That was probably my favorite leg of the trip. I went to what they call the Residence, which is a massive Baroque palace in Würzburg with what I was told is the largest ceiling fresco in the world. So that was really cool. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw some pictures that I posted from the Residence. Yeah, as an American, I love to do touristy stuff in Europe, and I'm very impressed by all the old castles and fortresses and palaces and Baroque stuff, because we just don't have that kind of ancient stuff as much in America, not like that. So that was really nice. And then a couple of day trips to smaller places around, like Rothenburg Ob de Tower, I think, something like that. Forgive me. Which was like a medieval town. And then a few days in Leipzig, where I got to see the Gewandhaus Orchester perform, which is like one of the most famous world-class orchestras. That was really exciting, a bucket list experience for sure. They played Bach, a Schumann symphony, and a world premiere of a cello concerto, a contemporary piece that was really neat. And then I ended the trip in Berlin. And I really just had one full day in Berlin, and we didn't do anything too touristy, but that's okay. It was nice just to walk around, hang out with friends. I went to a yarn shop. I actually went to 2 yarn shops in Berlin. One was just one that we happened to be walking by, and I was like, okay, let's pop in. I didn't end up getting anything at the first shop, but it was lovely. And sorry, I don't know what the name is. And then I went to a second shop specifically because I was hoping to find a particular new colorway of Noro Silk Garden sock, which, like, I'm serious about my Noro. So like, I go onto the Knitting Fever International website regularly to check what new colorways and new bases are coming out, and there's like 5 or so new colorways of Silk Garden sock, and there's one that appeals to me so much. It's so my colors. It's like rich electric cobalt blue with like different shades of purples and maybe even some like black. Super pretty, super cool tone. And you can see the stockists for particular bases, and you can even see when a shop has supposedly stocked a given color. And I specifically looked up this shop in Berlin that purportedly had this new color in stock within the past month, is what the website said. And I went there, and they did have Noro, and they actually did have one of the new colorways I recognized, but none of the other ones were there. And I also had kind of like a second choice that I would have been okay getting if my first choice wasn't there, but neither of the colors I was really interested in were in stock, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. But I ended up getting some other yarn just on a whim without any plans for it. This is Soft Silk from BC Garn, and I don't really know this brand, I don't really know this base, but this color just really spoke to me. As I said, I love an electric cobalt blue that's just really, really intense. So pretty. Can you see it? You know, like, you all know, you know the YouTube thing. Hand, palm out, product in front. Talk about the packaging. But yeah. I always see people like doing that as a joke, and it always makes me laugh. I think though sometimes people are actually desperately trying to get something in focus, and we'll see if I've done a good job of it or not when I watch this video back and when you're watching this. But I think if you make sure that your face is not on the camera, then it'll focus on what's like being held out in front, right? But I feel like our phones and our cameras are trained to just find whatever face is in frame and focus on the face. So any of you YouTuber girlies who are really struggling to get stuff in focus, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I think is the problem. Oh, but I got home, I was so excited about this yarn. I got home and I realized that this skein is a different dye lot. I don't know if you were able to clock it yet, just from like watching me talk about this yarn for the past couple of minutes. But, and you can even see the label on this one. It seems like they've had this in stock for like 5 years, and then these are like more recent. Like this label is super worn out, but that was a bummer. I don't know. I don't know when I became the kind of picky person that like wouldn't want to use yarn because of this amount of difference, because it really is small, but once I noticed it, I just couldn't stop seeing it. And also the one-off skein is the blue that I think looks nicer. It's a deeper, more vibrant blue. So I wish I had 2 of these and 1 of these, or ideally 3 of these, please. I posted about it on my Instagram, and I got a lot of messages from people who were like, I can't believe the shop didn't check the dye lots for you. And it's been a while since I've shopped in person at a yarn shop, and I don't know. I can't say that I distinctly have a memory of a worker at a yarn shop checking dye lots or like alerting me that my dye lots are different. So it's not something I've come to expect, and it's okay. I'm not mad at the shop. Other people were telling me to contact the shop and see if they, ew, there is a fly buzzing around. That is gonna kill my vibe for the video. Okay, I'm done with YouTube. I'm not uploading this video. I'm mad. It is a giant juicy housefly. You can hear it flying. That is so disgusting. Okay, actually, hold on. It flew out of the room, and I needed to take that opportunity to shut the door, but it has really been warming up in Zagreb the past week or two. It's like even been getting into like the low 70s in the afternoons, which is so exciting. So I've been having doors and windows open, and people don't really do like screens to keep bugs out here. So yeah, when the weather warms up, there are more bugs, and if you're gonna have your door open, they're gonna come in. It is what it is. It's okay, but I hate a big juicy housefly. It's so nasty. Anyway, where was I with this yarn? I was talking about people were suggesting I contact the shop and see if they have another skein in a matching dye lot and if they would do an exchange for me. And maybe I should do that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm a bit lazy when it comes to this type of thing. And also shipping to and from Croatia, in my experience, is a little bit of a hassle. It's not the quickest, it's not the most reliable. When you're getting a package, you need to like be home and ready to receive it, and you don't necessarily know exactly when it's gonna come, but you will often just get a call from the delivery man. It's like you have a package, and if you miss it, sometimes they'll re-deliver. Other times you need to go pick it up. If you don't pick it up within 3 days, it'll get returned to sender. So yeah, it's a bit of a hassle. We'll see what I do though. But I am kind of trying to convince myself, and thank you to the people who DM me to be like, they're not that different, just use them, because that's kind of what I needed to hear. And maybe what I would do, I don't want to alternate skeins throughout the whole project. That will kill my vibe. I'm not doing it. But I would be willing to do a little fade between the off skein, right? So maybe I'll do that, which, what I'm gonna do with this yarn, I don't know. I wanted to, I guess, on my last episode, my first episode, I talked about how badly I wanted to knit someone else's pattern and maybe test knit for one of my friends. And I ended up doing that, and I will talk about that later, but it kind of, you know, gave me the bug to where I was like, wow, I can make time to knit other things. So I got this with no plan, and Jessie May has a beautiful new raglan. No, it's not a raglan. I forget the exact construction, but it is a pretty lacy sweater with like bars of knit stitches and bars of eyelets. And I was like, this would be probably a good yarn to do that. And I was talking to her, and she was all excited and sent me the test version of the pattern. I'm not even sure if the test has started yet. I think she just wrote the pattern like a couple days ago. But yeah, then on Monday, I sat down for like several hours and did my taxes about 95% of the way through. I have one W-2 that I just realized I never received. And it's from an orchestra that's on spring break. So I won't be able to get that until next week, and then I'll finish my taxes. But that was scary. I mean, taxes are always scary and I always dread them, but the number that was spit out at the end that I owe makes me wanna vomit. It's a lot of money, so buy my patterns. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, I no longer have time to do any leisure knitting. It's girl boss, girl boss, girl boss. Like, what design can I turn these into? And I'm sure I can think of something. My first thought was to just do a simple raglan because I have several raglan patterns out at this point, or I will have I think I have 2 out and I'll have a 3rd one out in April. But I have never done like a simple stockinette stitch raglan. I've always done something with a lace element, so maybe I just do a really simple stockinette stitch summer short sleeve raglan with this beautiful silk. Or I was even thinking to do a collared polo shirt raglan, which would be really fun, I think. Also short sleeve, summery, springy, fall-y. So that's that on this yarn. What else? Let me talk about what I'm wearing. This is Best Vest, which I showed you on the last episode, just not being worn. I just held it up and talked about it, but now you can see me wearing it. I don't really want to like get up or move around too much because I know I'll be out of frame if I stand up, but it's super cute. I'm so happy with this design. It is knit in La Bien-Aimée Wensley worsted, which I believe is 100% Wensleydale wool, which I already talked about all this last episode, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But just to reiterate, really beautiful yarn. I really enjoyed working with it, and I'm always happy to see yarn dyers and yarn brands. Oh my gosh, sorry about the honking. I live in like the city center of Zagreb, and I had this, there's a door to a balcony here that I've had open all day, and I wanted to have that open and get some wind and air and warmth in through the door, but I knew there'd be traffic noises, so I shut it. But you'll still hear a little bit of traffic through the windows. Deal with it, okay? Or don't. I won't force you to stay here and watch. You're free to go. You're not a captive audience, okay? But yeah, this yarn is beautiful. If I didn't say already, the colorway is pistachio. La Bien-Aimée has a number of bases I would recommend that are in the same weight. They're Corrie worsted, which is a Corriedale yarn, also a wool that I love. I don't know if I finished the thought that I was saying, but I was just saying how much I love when yarn brands and dyers use interesting wools besides merino. It's just exciting to me, and I think to a lot of knitters, right? But Corrie worsted in the Corriedale is a perfect substitute for this. And then they also do those Corrie confetti colors, which I have never purchased them or knit with them, but I love them. They're beautiful. In general, I love like a little bit more of a rustic yarn, and then I really lean more towards solid colors and tonals, especially since I started designing. I just found that that's actually more in line with what I like to do. But the Corrie confetti is on a solid Corrie worsted base with like recycled flecks of wool and a bunch of different colors thrown into the spinning process. So you have a tweedy yarn with a bunch of different colors in it. It's really pretty. And there's one that I feel like I haven't checked in a while, but there was one that they had in stock when I was talking to La Bien-Aimée about working together on this design that I love, and I've loved it for a long time. It's been out for, I don't know, maybe a year or something. And it is, I forget the name, sorry, but it's like a bluey, purpley, cobalty blue with those rainbow tweed specks in it. And that was actually my first choice for this design. But I was aware of the fact that the way they do the Corrie confetti is that they are batch yarns, and they're not necessarily one-offs, but I don't think they're ever promised or guaranteed to be repeated, right? I think they could be if there's enough demand or if they want to, but in general, you can't expect it. And as a designer, I always want to try to be designing in a yarn where if everyone really loves the exact yarn I use in my sample, that hopefully they can go and get it. And there was only a limited quantity left of that particular color of Corrie confetti. which honestly, I should just, if it's still there, I should just order it and have it, because I will use it one day when I have time for a leisure project, and I would love it. But also, if it's still there and you hear me talking about it and you go check and you want to buy it all, more power to you, and love to support La Bien Aimée, who has been very supportive of me. This is my second time working with Amy and her team. The first time was on Pure Mesh Pullover, which I did in, gosh, she has Felix and Helix, and they're both lace weight yarns. I want to say that I used Felix. Felix with an F, not Helix with an H, but I don't remember. But they are super easy to collaborate with and really nice and supportive. So yeah, this actually, technically it's supposed to come out tomorrow. I tend to do Friday pattern releases. It's just something I've been kind of consistent about. But sometimes I just throw something out there a little bit early. If all the pieces are together, I've gone through feedback, I'm happy with where the pattern's at, and I'm already like doing all of that work and I'm already on the computer and my mind's already in that space, I'm like, why wait? Like, why have to have it sitting on my mind? Like, oh, what time do I want to put this pattern online? So I assume I will upload this video tonight. It's Thursday that I'm recording, and if you see this tonight, you can be the first to know that this pattern is live on Ravelry and on PayHip, but I will make a post and an official announcement about it on Instagram tomorrow. So stay tuned, watch my stories, and you can see I'll be resharing all of the test knitters' beautiful work. There are so many beautiful best vests. As I said, I'm really pleased with this pattern. It's knit bottom up, you have wide, beautiful bands of ribbing, a really seamless mitered V-neck construction where this central stitch of the V-neck just comes directly from the actual body of the vest, whereas like all the rest of this band is picked up in knit, but just the center stitch is held on a holder and then incorporated into the V-neck so that it is seamless. And I'm getting tulip pollen on my shirt. Say hello to my tulips. I did use my Croatian to buy them. I asked how much they cost in Croatian, which is koliko. I pointed and said koliko, and I understood when she said 8 euro, 8 euros. But yeah, they're like double or maybe even triple tulips. I don't know how well you can see them, but they've got a lot of petals. They're so pretty. I love to watch tulips die. They die really pretty. I love the way they slump over and start to lose their petals. I was actually gonna record this tomorrow, but I had the flowers in the last video and it looked really pretty, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make that a thing and try to remember to have some fresh flowers. I like to have fresh flowers in general, but I don't have them all the time. But if I could make sure I have them for my videos, it just adds a nice atmosphere to the video, if I do say so myself, okay? So yeah, these are really starting to open up and slump over a little bit today, and I was like, you know what, I gotta record this video today because tomorrow these tulips might look really busted, and I don't want busted tulips, and I'm not buying more flowers. But yeah, enjoy. What else to say about this? I don't know. It's beautiful, make it. It's worsted weight yarn. You don't have to use La Bien Aimée. You can sub for anything. You can use a woolly wool. You can use a sleek superwash wool. There's instructions in the pattern on how to crop it. That's not hard. You can see it's attached with a 3-needle bind off on the shoulder, but I don't know if you can see from here the shaping I've done on the back shoulder part of the V-neck ribbing, but I'm really happy with how that's turned out. Yeah, okay, let's move on. Okay, let me give you an update on my dappled lace raglan, which I talked about last week, and I actually forgot to put it in my pile, so I'll just grab it in a second. But I talked about it in the last episode, and I showed you the finished one, which was the one my friend Anna is modeling, and it's like a pinky purple, very floral, pretty color. And then I showed you, I think I showed just the yoke portion of my own sample that I will be wearing. And I took that project with me to Germany, and I have never done such a good job of knitting on a trip or a vacation. I generally I always bring knitting on a trip, and I always have good intentions to get knitting done. But usually I just don't feel like it. Like either I'm doing something and I'm busy, or I'm like tired and just want to relax and like be on my phone or talk to my friends or whatever. But if I was not doing something actively, I was knitting this sweater. Let me grab it. I was knitting this sweater constantly, and I'm glad I did. And it didn't like take away from my trip or anything. Like I still felt like I was in the moment. I just made sure I used any downtime that we had to keep my hands moving. And again, this is the dappled lace raglan. This will come out around my birthday in April. My birthday is on April 22nd, which I believe is a Saturday. So this will probably come out on the 21st for a Friday release. And yeah, I decided, like I showed it last time and it was just the top of the yoke, and I talked about how I tried it on, and I realized I would actually really enjoy this sweater if I went through the effort of making a full-length body and full-length sleeves. That's what I've done. And when I took it to Germany, I was at the point that I had showed it on the last episode. I was just at the armpit, and I knit the entire body and the ribbing all on my trip. I flew to Germany on a plane, but then I took a bus back to Croatia all the way from Berlin. It was like a 15-hour bus ride, which sounds awful, but it actually wasn't bad at all, and I got a lot of knitting done. I finished the body pretty early in the day on that bus trip, and then I started the sleeve, and I just did like one 8-round repeat of the lace on the sleeve, and I was like, okay, I've knit enough this week, and like I'm not feeling knitting on the bus for 15 hours, so I didn't do much more than that. And then since I've been home, I've knit one sleeve, and I need to start the second sleeve and just start getting that done and plugging away. But yeah, it's really pretty. It is with Ritual Dyes Undine, which is a cotton linen blend. I think it's almost 50-50. I think it's like 45-55 or something like that. It's my first time working with this yarn, and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, it's just gonna be super cozy and pleasant. I've never really had, that I can think of, like a real full sleeve like summer sweater, but I think I'll be able to wear this all summer without overheating. With the fiber of the yarn and with the laciness of this, it's just gonna be super breezy and comfortable. And I'm gonna be swimming a lot and on the coastline of Croatia a lot in the warmer months, so this will be really nice when I'm getting out of the water and like getting chilled a little bit. So yeah, that is my update on Dappled Lace Raglan. Probably I will record, I feel like I want to be doing this about once a month, and that's also what makes sense for me in terms of like how quickly I'm able to produce interesting things for you to look at and for me to talk about. So, I mean, not that interesting, right? At the end of the day, this is still gonna be a long ass video where I talk about yarn and knitting, you know, ad nauseum. And here we are again. I've gotta say it, I've gotta like make fun of me and make fun of you a little bit for being dorky enough to be doing this together. But I'm so glad you're here, babes. So sweet of you to join me. So nice. Smash that like button, subscribe, email your grandparents and your grandchildren, get everyone watching the channel, babes. Okay, I'll stop for now. But yeah, I was saying before whatever that was, I was saying I'll probably record next month and I'll probably be wearing this, which is exciting, something to look forward to. One more thing about this, actually. I've thought of something interesting to share about this particular sweater. In the pattern, I have written optional neck and shoulder shaping. It's not done with short rows, it's done with flat knitting. You like pretty much start the pattern flat and like knit a trapezoid and then cast on stitches for the front. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you would probably get it if you like were reading the pattern and knitting through it. I think it would make more sense. And yeah, and I also included a simple version for people who just don't care about that, like little extra fit detail. And my sample, I did not work the shaping. And I'm as of yet undecided on whether I'm going to do any type of edging on the collar. I think I will. I think I'll do some ribbing. But as of now, the collar is nice and loose and sits very elegantly. It's not like choking me, it's not too high. I probably would like the fit just a tiny bit more if I did the shaping, but it's not a sweater, at least for me in this sample, it's not a sweater where I'm really super duper regretting not doing it. We'll see how it changes once I do an edging. Obviously that's gonna bring things in a bit. If I wanna keep it really minimal, I mean, it sits nicely. It's not like rolling over when I put it on, so I could leave it as is. If I want something a little bit more substantial but keeping it minimal, I would probably do an applied I-cord bind off, right? Which I-cord is so annoying to knit. And I've also found that like gauge and tension in I-cord amongst knitters is so messed up and so different. I love it as a design element. I love the utility and the aesthetic of I-cord. So I use it in a lot of my patterns. But the more I've been writing patterns and designing, the more I've learned about it and learned how like, I'm almost never comfortable telling a knitter like, you can definitely knit your I-cord on this size needle that you use for the rest of the project or that you use for the ribbing or something. So I always feel like I have such a long, drawn out note in my patterns about I-cord tension and how you just need to like, well, how your I-cord should function, how stretchy or not stretchy it needs to be, and like what you're looking for, and then you just need to try different needle sizes until that I-cord is doing what it's supposed to do. So yeah, it is a heavy cross to bear, okay? Being an I-cord loving designer who also, I care about my pattern knitters. Like I want them to, I don't want to just make it simple for the sake of it being simple when I know, like that's always kind of like an inner conflict because I hate to write a long, over wordy spiel, giving too much detail and taking up a lot of space. But I think in general, more people are grateful for it than are like, ugh, I already know this, I don't need this, like this isn't helpful. I think people like it. I actually, in the testing process of this Best Vest, you know, I'm often adding in little pattern updates and sending it to testers, fixing small things or adding things. But one of the updates I added like, it's like a full column of text, maybe a column and a half. It's almost philosophical about bind off tension. Yeah, that's something I think about a lot, and it's another one of those things in my patterns that I constantly cast on tension, I-cord tension, and bind off tension are so important and so variable. Like just because the body of your swatch got a certain gauge doesn't matter. You can totally throw off the entire way a garment drapes because those things are on edges often. You can throw off an entire garment if the tension of a starting of a cast on or of a finishing with a bind off or an I-cord or whatever is not good. So I decided to write a lot in this pattern about the bind off tension on the V-neck. And I'm literally telling people like, you should sort of have like a medium amount of tension across the back of the neck. Like we need a little bit of tension here because this is supporting weight and gravity is pulling on it. And then with the way that this V-neck is at an angle, so for also the pickup rates are different, right? I'm telling you to pick up like, and I know it's annoying probably, but like if you want it to look like this, okay, it's gotta do what it's gotta do. So I'm telling like, I don't know, pick up 3 out of every 5 stitches across the back neck, and then pick up 5 out of every 7 stitches down the side of the V-neck, and blah, 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 blah. But then also a lot about the bind off and a looser bind off on the descending portion of the V-neck, or both sides of the V-neck. And then actually tightening up a little bit, just in the very deepest center part of this, just so that you avoid, because if you're going loose, 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 and then it's loose in the middle, sometimes you get kind of, well, mine won't do it because I have perfect bind off tension. I'm annoying. But sometimes you see it wants to gape and fold over at this deep point, and I want it to sit. And that's the scary part also, because I have to put into language things that can only really be learned and observed and felt, and it's very tactile, but I do my best to put it in words, but also saying like, I can't tell you, there's no way for me to put into words exactly how tight or loose your tension should be. I can tell you how it should perform, and you adjust for yourself. Because some people are naturally very tight or naturally very loose, right? So it's gonna feel very different for every knitter. But I just think it pays off to be careful. And also like, it really kills me, especially when it's a bind off. When a bind off that's at the very end of the knitting of a garment has kind of messed up the way a garment is sitting. Whether it's my design or someone else's, like, doesn't matter. I just sometimes see that and I'm like, ooh, I wish that they realized, that whatever knitter realizes that they could just unpick that bind off and, you know, just redo the last 15 minutes of work of a project and completely change the look of the sweater. On a plunging V-neck like this, if you go tight on this V-neck, because it's on the deeper side. It's not super duper deep, but it's not a shallow V-neck. But if you go tight on this bind off, it is so easy to pull it all the way up to your throat. And I feel like some people, they don't realize, they just do it and they're like, oh, well, I guess it's kind of a shallow V-neck after all. And it's like, no, actually, you can fix it, you can change it. That's the other thing. It's intended to be this depth, but maybe you do it and you're like, actually, this doesn't work for me and it's too deep and I'm not gonna wear it. Redo it and make it tight. It'll be super easy to raise multiple inches of this V-neck if you just do a tighter bind off, right? Okay, gosh, I do have a lot of thoughts on, I'm passionate about this subject matter, okay? Sorry about it. I hope you're learning something from this. What's next? So, I'm so tempted to open my little notes because I have them. I don't think I really need them. I said in my episode from last month how badly I wanted to knit someone else's pattern, and saying that out loud on a video that people watched gave me a sense of accountability, and also just like gave me some fuel, made me excited to actually pull through and follow through and do what I said I wanted to do. And I think I mentioned this pattern as being the one I wanted to knit, and it's the one I knit. It's a pattern that Park Williams has in testing. I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge. I don't think it's a secret, but if it's a secret, sorry, cat's out of the bag. Park's designing a summer vest, okay? This could only help. It is just like the cutest, most darling little vest. I'm gonna put this vest on over my vest. But I'm not taking off my vest to put this vest on. That's asking too much. Okay. Well, it's itty bitty and tight over an entire other knitted vest, obviously. But just so you can get a little bit of the idea, it's really cute, it's really simple, it knit up super fast. The pattern was easy to follow. I knit it out of Lana Grossa Dodici? I'm gonna go with Dodici, but I don't know. Can you see it? Purchased actually super close to my apartment, is one of the few local yarn shops that has decent yarn. They kind of, I think they really, 90% of their yarn is like Lana Grossa, which I've heard of but never really used before, but it's a nice like yarn store yarn, a nice commercial yarn with a lot of bases. I've never really been to a yarn shop that just like specializes in one brand like that, but it's interesting, and I'm glad that it's here and so close to where I live. Oh my gosh, I should open an all Noro yarn shop. That would probably go out of business. No, honestly, I would keep it in business. I would shop for my own stock. But what else to say about this vest? It's really cute. I'm excited to wear it out and about when it's really hot. It's super like tiny and revealing. I wanted it to go by quickly, so I intentionally kind of sized down. I forget what size I made. I either made a medium or a large, and I should have made either a large or an XL. And I don't regret that, but it has kind of come with a little side issue that I'm not sure how I feel about. The closures for this are hook and eye, which this is my first time sewing a hook and eye on anything, especially I've done very little sewing on knitwear. I've only ever knit like one cardigan with buttons, right? But when I close it, I mean, and it's really gonna be gaping because I'm wearing it over a bunch of clothes right now. And when I wear this, I'm just not gonna wear anything underneath. I'm just gonna be bare chesting it, showing off my gym bro arms in the summer. But you can see it's a little bit gapey. And if I had knit the correct size, it would sit a little bit more closed. I also wonder if maybe I should redo the hook and eye a little bit further in, but I still think it would gape open. So I'm not really sure what the solution is. I'm open to ideas if someone has any good ideas for another way of doing a closure. I don't really want to put more hook and eyes, and I asked Park if I should put buttons, and she acted like I was a criminal for suggesting I put buttons on her vest. But anyway, I'll figure it out. And it's kind of cute to have it gaping too, but it's quite a look to commit to. It's already such a revealing tiny vest for me to be wearing with nothing underneath, and then it's also like, I might as well just wear it open, right? Anyway. Also, okay, here's something else that I would really like to discuss with everyone in attendance here. I understand that this is an actual vest because it's open in the front. And I guess if we want to be technical, this is not a vest. And to be honest, this is something that I did not really know or understand until like the past year or two. When I think it was Jacqueline Cieslak, Jackie, was coming out with a slipover. I think she came out with a slipover design, and we were talking about it with her, and she was like telling us about it, and I'm like, what the hell is a slipover? Like, it's a vest. And she's like, no, it's a slipover. And we got into a fight about it, low key. I mean, it was fun. But I grew up calling this a vest. Like, sweater vests got very popular when I was in high school, and they were like this, not the button kind. And we were all calling them vests. And now suddenly there's a slipover. How long has that been a thing? But I just didn't have it in me to call this slipover. Best slipover? No, we're not doing that. It's best vest, okay? Don't get it twisted. But, I mean, no one has tried to like correct me or anything, so I don't know why I'm getting combative. I'm scared though. Please leave me alone. Please no one try to tell me it's a slipover because I'm already upset about it, as you can see. Yeah. What else? Okay, so you can see this really pretty pile of yarn here is new yarn that I got in a few weeks ago, and it is from Moondrake Co., which is a new to me yarn dyer. Please look her up on Instagram. Her stuff is super pretty. But we started talking, and very quickly we're exchanging ideas and talking about yarn, and I was like, I actually have a design that I could really use some vibrant colors for floating around in my head. Let's get things going. And she super generously sent me these 5 colors of yarn. Oh my gosh, I'm not prepared. I don't know what this base is. I don't know what the names of the colors are. But I think this is just like a superwash merino base. Can you see it? So yeah, beautiful, vibrant colors. And let me show you. So I'm like really working in advance on this one. Like I probably won't actually have time to really sit down and start designing and grading and knitting for this until more like the summer. But I was excited and I wanted to show all of you. So I went ahead and caked it up and knit some swatches. Here is my first swatch for, this is called L-Stitch Tweed. Really interesting stitch using slip stitches. I don't know if you would consider this a mosaic stitch or not. I've never really done mosaic or like slip stitch knitting. I've always been aware of it and always wanted to do it. Especially the ones that have like proper like motifs and designs and like cool geometric elements, I think are really cool, and I want to figure out how that works and like experiment with that. But this more like simple repeating geometric pattern is called L-Stitch Tweed, and I just thought it would be super cool to do an entire garment in this. I was thinking either a vest or a pullover. I'm really leaning towards a full pullover. These are the 2 swatches that I've knit, but there are more color combos. You need 3 colors, and there are more color combos that I want to try. I love blue and yellow together. I've always loved blue and yellow together. And I could put it with the purple. Actually, that could be interesting. Let me see with the green. Also interesting. I might want to try these 3. But there are a few other combos. If you are looking at these colors and you have a vision for 3 colors you think really need to be swatched together, feel free, let me know. This is probably what I'm gonna go with though, to be honest. I am a red, blue, green lover. I'm a red, blue, green girly, and this deeply appeals to me. It is so vibrant. Imagining an entire like pullover crew neck sweater, and this would be like, whoa, but super exciting. So that's in the works. If all goes according to plan, you can expect to see some type of garment design with this technique in the fall, okay? And yeah, super exciting. Okay, let me look at my notes, please. Moment, please. What else is new? I have a trip to Austria coming up, which I just crowdsourced recommendations in my Instagram story for that the other day, and I got a lot of responses. I just screenshot all of them, and I haven't really like been through them properly, but that trip is coming right up, like in a week or so I'm going. But if anyone has anything else they loved in Vienna, I really have no plans other than the concert that I mentioned that I'm going to in the last video. It's a concert of Joe Hisaishi. I mean, he's a composer, but he's also performing. He's conducting and probably playing piano as well. I think he typically does both in his concerts. He's the composer of the music for Studio Ghibli's films and among other films and stuff. He does a lot of projects, and He's also performing original music there, not for film score, like a symphony of his, which I tried to find online, because if I'm going to be listening to a major work like a symphony, it's something that, could be an hour long. It's helpful if I've heard it before, just to help me be able to like be present and digest it in a concert. It's easy to get distracted, I think, for me at least. Like it's really difficult for me to just go listen to a Mahler symphony that's like an hour and a half that I've never heard before in a concert. I will absolutely lose focus. But I couldn't find any recordings of this Hisaishi symphony, so I'll just do my best to like take it in and enjoy. But other than that concert, I really don't have any knowledge of Vienna or plans of what to do in Vienna. We haven't even booked a place to stay. Probably we will work on that tonight. What else? My gym routine is going well. I got back from Germany at the beginning of the week, and that was the longest I had gone without going to the gym since I started. Like probably a full 9 or 10 days off, which like I'm really enjoying going to the gym quite often, almost every day. And I didn't want to like lose that momentum. However, it's also nice to have a little bit of a prolonged break and rest. I've gone back for 2 days in a row now and can feel that I'm much more energized after 10 days off. But yeah, I did get in one little like exciting exercise kind of activity while in Germany. I went bouldering in Leipzig, which is a hobby of my friend Janos and his girlfriend. So they wanted to introduce me to that. And I've done like rock climbing where you're wearing a harness and you're climbing more vertically as a kid at like birthday parties, and at the mall actually there was a small rock climbing wall like that I used to beg to climb up, and I would always climb on the easiest path that never changed, and I would do it every chance I got, but it was thrilling every time. But other than a few experiences as a kid, I don't really have any climbing experience, and I had zero experience with bouldering, which is where you are not wearing a harness and you don't climb that high, but they make the ground like soft and springy and spongy, so it's designed for you to fall on it, but you're never falling from super high up. And there's also a lot of lateral climbing involved in bouldering. Not in all of the paths, but in many of them. And in general, like at least this gym was like this. I'm not an expert, but this gym was just a bunch of small climbing paths you could try. It was just almost like going into a room with like 300 different little climbing puzzles for you to try out. And luckily most of them were marked by difficulty. So I was only doing level 1 and level 2, and they go all the way up to I think level 6 at this gym. And even the level 2s, there were some that I could not complete. They were super challenging, but it was really fun. I could actually see myself getting into bouldering. I've already looked to see if there's bouldering gym in Zagreb, and I think there's 2. So that is something that I want to try out again and see if I want to get into. I definitely want to keep going to my traditional gym and doing kind of traditional strength training and workouts, but it would be fun to add in the bouldering as something extra and recreational. Yeah, and as far as my regular gym workouts are going, I tend to do a 4-day routine. I guess it's a 5-day routine. 4 days on and then 1 rest day. So it's never regular. Like that routine is repeating itself differently from week to week. I don't like always take Fridays off or something like that. But with the way my life is, being self-employed, that's fine for me. The schedule doesn't need to be based on the 7-day week. Typically, I'll start with a chest and triceps day, followed by a back and shoulders day, which was yesterday, and then a leg day, and I will also typically throw in biceps if I have the energy. So today is my leg day. I did a lot of walking in Germany, and my knees were like kind of starting to bother me. So I'm gonna take it easy today. No squatting, no like weight bearing squats with heavy weights or anything. I will do a lot of like exercises that really isolate muscles and things that are about mobility and like stretching out my hip flexors. All of that stuff is great for knee problems. So that will be the focus for today. And then usually my fourth day is cardio, but with my knees, we'll see. I may just do yoga. I would typically run, but I stopped running like a month ago when I first started to feel a little creakiness in my right knee. I think I'm just like overdoing it, right? I'm going a lot, I'm running a lot. So I stopped the running, but I often go on the stair machine, but I'm also gonna take a break from that. So for my cardio day, I'll probably just keep it to yoga, which is something I used to do a lot of yoga when I was living in Houston many years ago. I was a part of a hot yoga studio, which I loved. And I haven't done it for several years, but I've been getting, as soon as I felt my knee acting up, I was like, oh, it is time to get back into yoga, because that is very restorative, and the flexibility and all the hip opening and all of that's great. So I've been really enjoying that. And I work up a sweat when I do yoga, so it's an okay substitute for a cardio day. That is absolutely fine. And as always, if you don't care about the gym, if you hate the gym, if you don't care about anything that I am just blabbering about, either suffer through it anyway, or skip 5 minutes, or turn off the video and never watch me again, okay? But don't tell me. I don't care. Like, I don't care if you don't like what I like. I don't need to know that, okay? What else? I talked a little bit about gaming last time. I'm still playing Heroes of the Storm, my little online game that I play with my friend. And I did not keep up with playing Zelda Minish Cap. However, in the past few days, I picked up Final Fantasy X, which I have on my Nintendo Switch, which is a game that I got to see an older brother play when I was a little kid, but I never got to play, and I thought it was the most beautiful game ever, and I actually I have very fond memories of just like watching other people play Final Fantasy X, and when they came out with it on Switch, I was like, okay, now's my chance to play this game I've always wanted to play. When I started it, I don't know, a year ago, and got kind of far and then lost interest. That happens with me with games. I often don't finish video games, but something made me want to pick it back up these days. So I have done that, and I'm enjoying that for now. No promise that I'll finish it, but yeah, it's good. What else? I said last time that I would play a little bit of piano in my video. I didn't promise it. I said I might, but then I didn't, and people were like, hey, why didn't you play piano? So I will actually do a little bit of piano. I'll record after this and put it at the end of the video. So I guess I am willing to do some amount of editing, right? Because I will have to have a separate clip. I could just turn the camera around facing the piano and just play on this clip, but what if I make a bunch of mistakes, okay? Then I'd have to redo it anyway. Like, I might have multiple takes, all right? Because I'm only human. Speaking of singing, I did karaoke when I was in Berlin, which, when I lived in China, the karaoke is very popular in China, and you can find KTV, the place where you go do it. You can find karaoke bars and places like all over, so it's really an easy thing to go do with your friends on any night. So I did it while I was there, but I haven't done it much since, and I always enjoyed it, but it's also a lot. It is a lot to go do karaoke and sing in public, but while I may not suggest it to friends, like, hey, let's go do karaoke, if I have a friend who really wants to do it, then I'm down. And my friend Janos really wanted to do karaoke during my visit, because he and I met in China, and we used to do karaoke when we were living in Shanghai, so it was nostalgic. And the ones we would do in China are the ones where you get a private cabin, and it's just you and your friends singing, and you don't have to sing in front of a bunch of strangers. And this was a bar called Monster Ronsons, I think, in Berlin. It was like a bar/club that had a big stage where everyone could hang out and you could sign up to sing a song actually like publicly for the whole bar. And then they also had cabins. But it was really popular. It was a Saturday night. We had to wait in line to get in. And then we also, once we got in, we put in our names and got a number to wait to get one of the private cabins, because they did also have those private rooms as part of the bar, which is cool. But it probably took 4 hours or something, 3 or 4 hours before we actually had our turn to have a private room. So in the meantime, my friends are like getting drinks and stuff. Everyone's just kind of standing around awkwardly, and it was not my idea to do karaoke. So I was like, hey, like, we're not gonna get a room for hours. Why don't you go sign up to sing on the main stage? And they were like, oh, like, okay, yeah, maybe, like, yeah, probably. And I kept being like, what are you waiting? Every 5 minutes, I was like, why haven't you signed up? What are you waiting for? Go sign up. Put in your name and put a song. Like, I want you to sing. You wanted to do this, so let's go. And they weren't signing up. And I had to be the one. I was like, you know what? Screw y'all. I will sign up first, because I'm no coward. Life is meaningless. It's okay to humiliate yourself by singing to a crowd of strangers. And people were mostly doing like really upbeat things people could sing along to. I, of course, signed up to sing My Immortal by Evanescence, 2003 hit, one of the few CDs that I had growing up and listened to regularly growing up. Been a sad girl for life. And I'm not an incredible singer. Like, I'm a trained musician, so obviously I can hold a tune and I have rhythm, but my voice is not just the most spectacular, beautiful voice at all. And my range is also not amazing. So I knew for me to have maximum success, I needed to work the crowd, and I did. I came on stage and I was like, hi Berlin, hi. My name's James, and tonight's number goes out to all the sad girls out there. And all the sad girls and the audience were like, woo! And they heard the intro to that song and they took it real serious. There were cell phone lights, there were lighters in the air. Everyone was singing along. It was so fun. It was so cute. My singing was not good. I was jumping between singing in my low voice and screaming the actual notes up high in the higher octave until my voice literally just like cracked and gave up. But it was really fun. It was funny. I'm glad I signed up. Even though I only signed up out of spite, I'm really glad I did. Okay, so yeah. If you find yourself in that situation, sign up for the song, okay? And sing whatever you want, okay? Later on in the cabin, me and a friend were singing songs from Phantom of the Opera, and no one else in the room really cared. That's their problem, okay? But they were somewhat of a captive audience, but okay, that's what you get for wanting to do karaoke. And with that, I am out of things to talk about. No idea how long this video is. Enjoy the piano playing that I will do after this clip ends. I will play probably a portion of the Ravel Sonatine second movement, okay? Enjoy. Bye.